It's actually working. Oh, it is. Okay, wonderful. So how does this work here? So good afternoon, actually good morning. I'm just gonna I'll be on here live. This is the grassy knoll. So we're covering the fallout of Joe Biden's um dropping out of the presidential race here. So let's see here. Here we go. So just wanted to talk to you guys about let's see if this is actually working. I'm just gonna go on here on the iPad and see if this is actually working. Give me just 1 second. This kind of new technology here. So it is. So okay, so you guys are able to see the screen here. So just wanted to talk a little bit about what recently happened um, with Biden dropping out of the race. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. So as you guys heard already, that Joe Biden, the president, decided to drop out after weeks of behind the scenes maneuvering by Barack Obama and apparently Nancy Pelosi to finally convince him to drop out of the presidential race. The catalyst was really the debate performance with him and Trump about 3 weeks ago, last month. And apparently, there, and it's important to go back and to discuss that because we have never had a presidential debate in the history of the United States, a televised presidential debate before the two major parties national convention. This is the first time that they actually had the debate before the convention. So some people have speculated that that was done uh, to basically as a test run for Biden. So he needed to show to the Democratic Party establishment, the donors, the people like Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, that he could actually endure a debate. And of course, what we saw is he completely failed. So, what happened after that is that you started seeing people in Congress, the Democrats, first in the House, come out and say, I think he should not run for president. The first person who came out was Lao Dage. And it was very respectful, and they thanked Biden for his service. You had other congressmen like Raul Grijalva that started to come out. And so as the days progress, little by little, you had members of Congress, even Adam Smith. Well, I think he's in I forget what state he's in. So he came out and said, I think he should not run. And then he came. Adam Smith actually was interesting. Lyle Doggett was interviewed by some media outlets, but he kind of stayed in the background. Raul Grajava didn't really go to CNN and wasn't really. He might have received some interviews, but not so much. But Adam Smith was the one congressman who was seen on CNN and trying to put forward the case of why he should step aside. Then you had senators like Mark Warner coming out and going, I don't think you're right for us, and so forth. And you started seeing other members of the Senate come out and say that they didn't think it was a good idea. Then you had the donors. So, actually, let's backtrack before that. Before these politicians came out, the media, CNN, immediately said, "Oh, he should drop out." If the CNN panel after the debate was almost unanimous, they thought it was a disaster. So he had lost the media to begin with. Then there was some pushback for in his corner on some circles of the media, like the Joe Scarborough, the morning show. Then you started reading reports that Nancy Pelosi kind of kept the question of him running was basically questionable. You know, it was up in the air. So she didn't really completely endorse Biden staying in the race. And even Barack Obama's tweet, if you guys recall, was not really an endorsement of Joe Biden. All the Obama's tweet said was debate performances, you know, they're good and bad. You have good and bad days in debate performances, you know, so what? Um, this is still an election between someone who constantly lies and is a threat to democracy with someone who tells the truth. So this is what Barack was saying. But in the tweet, it did not say vote for Joe Biden. And that was very key, very critical component there, that some people, even in the left, like Brianna Joy, forget her last name, but she was Bernie Sanders' press secretary. They pointed out that this is really not an endorsement. So we had reports that the people like Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama were working behind the scenes to pressure him to step aside. And like I said in a previous live stream, Nancy Pelosi is no longer the Speaker of the House because the Democrats don't have control, and she's no longer House Majority Leader, or House Minority Leader. She's not the Democratic leader, so she stepped aside the last term and allowed Hakeem Jeffries to take over the leadership of the House Democrats. And I think that's important because I feel that they used Pelosi to kind of try to convey to Biden that, hey, you need to kind of hand over the reins to a much younger generation, i.e., Hakeem Jeffries, right? African American, younger person. You know, Nancy Pelosi, I'm in my 80s. I handed the torch to the younger Democratic generation. And the insinuation, I think, was Joe Biden, you should do that too. You should hand over the reins to a much younger person who's in the executive branch already. And you had media reports that she basically she had a one-on-one meeting with him, and she told him, you can't win. We don't think you can win. This is the polling data. You cannot win. And apparently in one of the live streams from that I was listening to yesterday with Mark Lamont Hill, he pointed out that according to his media sources, she actually threatened Joe Biden and said that if you don't drop out soon, you know, we can do this the easy way or we're going to do this the hard way. So if you don't drop out soon, then we're going to basically make life difficult for you. You know, the gloves are going to come off. So the really the writing was on the wall, and like I mentioned yesterday, it was just weird for the progressive members of the Congress to come out and just start trying to get concessions from Biden, that, you know, to be a more progressive president. And it just tactically, it made no sense. Like I said before, the Democratic establishment was already trying to remove him. I don't even know what they were thinking, because it just completely just did not make sense. They were going to remove him anyway. You know, they should have already been able to. This to me shows that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party does not know how to read the room. It's and they should know better, because they were, look what happened in 2020, right? They should have been able to read the room, that the Democratic Party establishment did not want Bernie Sanders to lead the party, period. You know, because they know that you let an outsider in the establishment in, the Democratic Party, it's gonna change. You know, people the allies within the party, the key positions within the party are going to change. That's what happens when a new leader comes in. Their people, their supporters, take over the main key positions. So they didn't want Bernie Sanders coming in, because then you're going to have all these left wingers or these progressives coming in and assuming key positions in the party. And there goes your privilege and your connections within the party. You have to remember that these people who go into the presidency, when they leave, what they have to look forward to is their presidential library. So, and that was one of the things that was used to pressure Biden, by the way. They told him that, hey, you could be remembered as the person who saved the country from democracy. You know, you beat Trump, and you stepped aside to do the right thing, you know, so that we could beat Trump, you know. And if you do the right thing, you know, you're going to get your presidential library. And the insinuation was, if you do not do the right thing, then, you know, that presidential library that you have looking forward for you in the future, that's probably not going to happen. You know, and how do we know? Well, you know, look at the donors, right? The donors came out and said that, hey, we're going to stop funding your campaign, and that was really the end of it all, because they lost something like 90 million in campaign funding, was one of the articles that we had posted on our Facebook page here. And you can't run a presidential campaign, you know, being down 90 million in a given quarter, for example. So the donors were just adamant that they were not going to give him another cent. And they were threatening, there were reports that the donors were threatening members of Congress that, hey, this is taking too long. You know, if you guys don't get this ball moving, we're also going to start withholding funds in your congressional races. So, and that got these members of Congress moving. So that just kind of tells you that the Democratic Party, yes, it's run by the donor class. I mean, you know, and people are complaining that, oh, this is undemocratic. Well, of course it's not democratic, right? You had Adam Smith, who came on, and we posted a video on this, and I think it's on our YouTube channel. He came on CNN and said, hey, Biden is criticizing us for being the Democratic elite. Well, the Democratic elite, we're the ones who actually put Biden in 2020. There was this decision made in 2020 that the power brokers in the Democratic Party did not want Bernie Sanders to win. Biden was having a disastrous early primary. He lost the first three primaries. He came in fourth in the first one, and he came in second in the third one in Nevada. Bernie voted him 49% to 20 some percent, almost beat him by 20 points. So it took the intervention of Barack Obama and James Clyburn before the primary in South Carolina for him to finally win a primary, you know, and start picking up delegates. You have to remember, before this, in the previous two attempts at Biden running for president in 1988 and in 2008, he never made it to the first Iowa caucus. In 88, he dropped out in 1987 because he plagiarized his speeches. Okay, and in 2008, he never made it to I think he dropped out actually after the Iowa caucuses, and I don't think he won even a single delegate. So they pointed out to him, Adam Smith pointed out on CNN that, hey, he was selected. He was not picked by the voters. This just goes to show to you that the Democratic Party is beholden by donors, and the donors get to decide who is their favorite. Period. You know, and then they have the money, the advertising dollars to promote the candidate that they want. Right now, what they wanted was Biden to step aside. Okay, and Biden was just being stubborn and refused to. Again, you have to remember that Biden had been senator from 1972 to 2007, that 30, roughly 35 years, have been a vice president for 8 years and president right now for 3 years. So he has been in the position of government, in the federal government, in some sort of position, either senator, vice president, or president, for 47 years. Okay. So, and he was just not gonna give up that power that he has, because this is all he knows, so I think it was very probably understandable, if you looking at it from his point of view, why he is tried. I'm not saying it's the right thing, but this is the thinking of these people. They don't want to give up this power because you have all these connections, right? It's not the salary that they're really concerned about. It's really the connections. Once they leave office, they can give speeches and they get speaker fees, and you have your presidential library. The Clintons had the Clinton Foundation and became much more wealthy after leaving office than when Bill Clinton was in office. So yeah, that's basically just a little summary of kind of what went down. Now, what's happening now? At the moment, pretty much most of the people in the Democratic Party who have significant positions have come out and are endorsing Kamala Harris at the moment. And this is an article from The Hill as of yesterday. So they're pointing out here that in the Democratic convention this year, it's going to be held in Chicago, Illinois. The candidate, whoever is a presidential candidate, who decides to contest the convention, they need 1,986 delegates to win. And The Hill, they pointed out that out of the almost 4,000 delegates, okay, Biden, he won 3,800 of those during the primaries. And to date, basically, where's the number here? It pointed out here that Kamala Harris has already garnered the support of 531 delegates. And I'm trying to find that part of the article where it says that. So that's really what you have to look out for right now, that how many delegates she has at the moment and how many she needs to clinch the nomination. And if somebody is going to step in to the race to challenge her, they're starting at zero, of course, and they're going to need that number 1986 to clinch the nomination. But so I thought I read yesterday here where it says it's probably up here. Let's see here. So President Biden has endorsed Vice President Harris to take over the Democratic nominee to be president, but she'll still need to secure enough delegates to officially replace him. So here it is. Biden has won more than 3,800 of these delegates, will now be released to vote for whomever they choose. To win the nomination, a candidate must secure 1986 delegates. As of 10 p.m. Oh, here it is. God. Probably need new glasses. As of 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Sunday, 531 delegates had already endorsed Harris. So she, as of last night, she was only 1,455 delegates short of clinching the nomination. Right now, this is what's, if you're following the race in the Democratic, well, there's actually no race right now because it's only one candidate. But if you're following who's going to be the next Democratic presidential nominee, this is what you have to pay attention to. The number of delegates that she already has And if someone decides to step in, they're going to need 1,986 delegates. They're going to have to convince them to support them. So apparently, according to reports, Mark Halperin from ABC News had reported that he had tweeted out several days ago, oh, that Biden's going to step aside and he's going to announce on Sunday, and there's going to be a speech. John Meacham is working on a speech, and actually the speech that Biden's going to give is going to happen later in the week. And in the tweet, it said that the Democrats planned to have an open convention where at least three candidates, or about three candidates, would challenge Kamala Harris. At the moment, no one's actually come out to challenge her. And actually, the people who've come out have supported her. People have been talking about Governor Gavin Newsom. Well, he came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, so he's definitely out. He's not running. Bill and Hillary Clinton came out and endorsed Kamala Harris early on, and of course Joe Biden also has endorsed Kamala Harris. So the Hill also reported that in Tennessee, the state's Democratic delegates met during a conference call on Sunday, and they later announced that they were committing all 77 delegates for Harris. So she has Tennessee. So this is what it appears like. This is the South. Okay. So South Carolina, all 55 of the state's pledged delegates endorsed Harris following a verbal meeting. South Carolina was the first state. Now this is key here. It was the first state to hold the Democratic primary this cycle. Okay. A historical shift away from the Iowa caucuses is the first in the nation nominating contest. So in the last primary in 2020, Biden lost Iowa, New Hampshire, and got clobbered in Nevada. Then South Carolina was the state where he finally won. In this primary season, they changed the calendar and they moved South Carolina up first. And I think then you had New Hampshire next, and then some other states. So it was obvious that they changed the calendar in this year's election to help Joe Biden out, because the African American vote, the more conservative African American vote in the South, especially South Carolina, through this support behind it. But they only did so, if you looked at back at the polling, they only did so after James Clyburn, the House Democrat of South Carolina, came out and endorsed him. Okay, so that's what happened there. And some have pointed out, by the way, that Joe Biden had to endorse Kamala Harris because it would kind of look bad if he got all of this support from African Americans, right? And he doesn't endorse her, but that would have hurt the African American coalition within the Democratic Party, because they want her. They're supporting her. I think the Congressional Black Caucus has come out and has endorsed her as well. So that's significant. So it shouldn't be surprising that these are the states. So North Carolina, a group of 168 of North Carolina's delegates voted unanimously to endorse. So it's not all of them, but it says here it's a group of 168. So according to the state party chair, Anderson Clayton. And in New Hampshire, a group of 25 of the state's delegates endorsed Harris after a meeting Sunday. And then Florida is the fifth state to endorse Harris. The state is the largest delegation thus far, with 224 votes behind Harris. Louisiana, the state's 48 pledged delegates are coalescing behind Harris, following a call Sunday night. So it's mostly southern states, probably significant African American support that's influencing this. So we'll see what happens after today. I think that what will happen is that they'll hold the convention. It'll be an open convention, but if I'm reading the room right now, pretty much the Democratic Party wants Kamala Harris, and she's going to be the nominee. It'd be surprising if somebody comes in and now somebody could come in and challenge her. That's possible. Um, if they calculate that they don't think that she can win, that she can beat Trump. So somebody could easily calculate that, hey, I don't think she can win. She might lose. And if I at least throw my hat in the ring at the convention, do this magnificent speech, do you think because this is how people become famous in the Democratic Party. You think of Barack Obama and his famous speech in 2004, red states and blue states. That catapulted him to national prominence after he made that speech at the 2004 convention. Then 4 years later, he's accepting the nomination. So that could happen. And there are many cases. You go back in 1956, Kennedy tossed his hat in the vice presidential contest. He lost, but during that fight at the convention, he got all this media attention that helped him become the Democratic nominee in 1960. So somebody could potentially decide, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. I don't think I could win, but I'm going to try to get as much media attention, national attention as I can. And if she loses, then I might become the favorite next time. Right? Because this is your opportunity, because this is a once in a lifetime event. This is probably not going to happen anytime soon, or probably never going to happen ever again, or probably it's not going to happen in another 100 years because of the situation that we're in. So some candidates who are popular right now within the Democratic Party, they could calculate that, hey, I'm going to I don't think I can win, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway, and I'm going to make the case that I'm the stronger candidate, and it kind of imply that she's not really that strong. And then if she loses, then your case for becoming the 2028 presidential candidate is much stronger. And at least you threw your hat in the ring, and which is what the progressives should have done last year. They should have built the infrastructure and put a candidate in this year's election, given what everyone knew was Joe Biden's precarious health situation. Yeah, I think it was just political malpractice for them not to at least prepare a candidate to at least run on the issues, that don't attack Biden, but just run on the issues in the primaries and try to get as many delegates as you can so that you can, they completely missed that opportunity. So right now there's another opportunity. So somebody can step in and say, hey, I think I should be the nominee. And again, and I'm arguing that they'll do that, not thinking that they're gonna win, but at least try to get as much media attention as they can and try to use that to catapult themselves to run it in 4 years. So right now, as I'm reading the room, I think the establishment, they want her because she's the vice president. I think that there's going to be, yes, an appearance of an open convention, but she clinches it. She's only like 1,400 votes away from getting the nomination, so she's already running ahead. She has that advantage. So I think she's going to be the nominee, and I think what will happen, maybe a month after the convention, my prediction would be that Joe Biden is going to resign for the presidency. I think that would be wise, and he would hand the presidency over to her, and then that's going to get her all this free media. Because if you saw yesterday, all the media, she received tons of free media, and apparently they raised a lot of money after Biden announced that he's not running. They're now raising like tons of cash for the Harris Victory Fund, which is a new name of the campaign war chest of the Democratic presidential campaign in 2020. Well, we don't know if it's the presidential campaign yet because it's not official. She needs to win the convention first. So that I just wanted to point that out, that that's where we are. And again, this is not a democratic process at all. And if you think back, they being the Democratic Party, they literally did this on purpose to ensure that no progressive challenger actually had a shot at beating Biden. And that's how, if you think about it, that's how low confidence they had in Biden. They weren't even sure that Biden could beat a progressive challenger if they kept the primary calendar, the same calendar that they used in 2020, the with the same states going first, second, and third. So they were afraid that he was going to lose in Iowa again, and then get slaughtered in New Hampshire like he always has, and then Nevada, because they saw the polling, right, saying that the Democratic voters don't want him. They want another candidate. So I think that they were concerned that if a progressive candidate stepped in early on, he maybe he wouldn't have lost, but they would have been picking up delegates, and then it would have embarrassed the president. Maybe they could have even reached 40%. I think Marianne Williamson. Well, I know Robert Kennedy was polling like 20% when he was still running in the Democratic nomination, and then Williamson like covering around 10% somewhere. So that just shows you that about a quarter of the voters in the primaries that were looking for another candidate other than him. And I think that they were concerned that if they kept the calendar and an actual progressive candidate stepped in, that they had a shot to undermine it. They might not win the first couple of primaries, but then later, there have been questions about Biden's performance. The other thing too, had a progressive candidate stepped in the race, they would have been calling for debates. Okay. And then had Biden refused to debate a progressive, that would have made the progressive candidate's case much harder, much stronger. Why don't you want to debate me? Okay. So if the progressives had been more calculating, they should have ran a candidate, because this is politics. This is what you need to do. So they could have held the debate. I think this is what the Democratic Party wanted to avoid, again, because they don't want a progressive, anybody on the left, coming in, because they don't take some of these candidates don't take donor money from this donor class. So if you look back, you step back, this was designed purposely, I think, to avoid having a potential progressive challenger take as many delegates right with them. Could you imagine if there's a progressive candidate right now who had 100 delegates? So the media right now would be reporting it as a horse race. Oh, Harris has 500 and something. Progressive candidate has 100 and some delegates. Uncommitted, I think, got 20 delegates. Just a campaign that just was created in the middle of the whole Israel-Gaza situation over there, and they were able to get delegates out of nowhere. That's just how weakened position that Biden was in, running for a re-election. So again, will a progressive candidate step in this open convention and try to get that? I doubt it. I don't think that they're that courageous enough. They should. Somebody, this is your opportunity. It's probably going to be some centrist candidates that are going to challenge him. But what a wasted opportunity for other people. The only people who actually the only person who actually had a significant posed some type of fight at least was Dean Phillips. I mean, he was a centrist. So there it is. So yeah, that's basically about it. I think that's all I wanted to mention here. But that this is what we need to be focused on right now, that just the number of delegates that they have. So I do think that Biden, I predict that he will step aside and she will become the presidential candidate, because that'll help her in the campaign. It'll reassure the country. And then, it's kind of hard to beat an incumbent president when you're running for office. Um, and you see that too right now with the Republicans. They're upset that they're threatening to sue the Democrats for changing their candidate. They're upset because of the all the money that they've used to get Oppo research against Biden. All of that money has basically been wasted. The convention that they conducted for about 4 days after the assassination attempt, all for nothing, because the convention was just um the message of the convention was Joe Biden is bad for America. So they basically wasted their convention for nothing. So apparently, in my opinion, this is really the ball is in the Democrats' court. They have the advantage now, and now the Republicans, they have to raise now more money to do Oppo research on Kamala Harris and start tailoring their attacks against her. So now they're kind of running behind, really. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But thank you so much for listening to this live stream. And please like and share and subscribe to our channel. This has been a PDR live stream. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And let's see if I know how to shut down this. Let's see here. It's probably this way. There we go. And let's see how we can shut down this